We see it literally every day. Another massive data breach, millions of passwords dumped online, entire digital identities wiped out in a matter of seconds. It's terrifying. But here's the crazy part. The exact same skills used to terrorize these companies are right now being used by a totally hidden network of digital superheroes. We're talking about people legally breaking into the biggest tech giants on Earth and walking away with life-changing cash for doing it. So, in this explainer, we're pulling back the curtain on the secret million-dollar industry of bug bounty hunting.
To really understand this game, you have to look at the sheer financial scale. We aren't talking about tossing someone a few $100 for a weekend side project. This industry is absolutely exploding. Right now, tech giants like Apple are paying out up to $1 million for the most critical vulnerabilities. Think about that. $1 million just to find a flaw in their code before the bad guys do.
But this is where we hit a bizarre contradiction. The payouts are astronomical, right? And the targets are practically infinite, yet a massive percentage of beginners entering the bug bounty space put in hundreds of hours, run all the right automated tools, and walk away making exactly $0. Literally nothing. They just hit a brick wall. So, if the money is clearly there and the bugs are everywhere, why do so many smart people fail completely? To answer that, you have to realize what this journey actually looks like in the real world. You really need to forget the movies, where some hacker types furiously in a dark hoodie for 30 seconds and dramatically whispers, "I'm in." Real bug bounty hunting is an intense, incredibly tedious expedition. And more importantly, it has absolute boundaries. You cross them, and you are in serious danger. Because this isn't the Wild West. Companies hand you a very specific map with incredibly strict rules. If an asset is listed as in scope, you have full permission to tear it apart. Hitting it gets you paid. But if you touch an out-of-scope asset, even if you find the biggest, most critical vulnerability on planet Earth, you do not get a bounty. You are literally committing a federal cybercrime. So where does the real money actually live? Well, it comes down to where you choose to hunt. Public programs are open to literally everyone. They are incredibly crowded, and the obvious bugs are stripped bare within minutes. But if you build up your reputation over time, you get invited to private programs. These are like the hidden VIP rooms of the internet. The competition drops to near zero. You finally have time to breathe, to explore, and to uncover the deep, complex bugs that actually pay the big bucks. Which brings us to a tough realization in our first section. Why you are failing. Let's just address the elephant in the room regarding the reality of the hunt. You've followed all the rules, you've picked a great program, you've stared at source code for hours, and still, absolutely nothing. Or actually worse, you find a bug, you submit the report with your heart just pounding, and you wait. Then, you get a notification that completely crushes your soul. You get hit with one of the three horsemen of the bug bounty apocalypse: informative, NA, or duplicate. And informative is by far the most agonizing. It means you actually found a valid bug, but the security team just dismissed it outright because you failed to prove its real-world business impact. It's like finding a crack in a bank vault, but because you couldn't prove it actually led to the cash, the bank just shrugs and says, "Thanks for the info, but we really don't care."
And this brings us to a really crucial point. Why do these reports actually get rejected? Mostly because hackers get incredibly impatient. As Vicky Lee points out, jumping from program to program after just a few hours is a fatal mistake for beginners. The secret to success here isn't scanning the entire internet with automated tools. It's digging obsessively into a single target's obscure assets. It's taking the time to learn how the application actually breathes. But honestly, the real reason people fail is a bit deeper. They fail because they don't truly know how to use their weapons. See, real exploits aren't some kind of dark magic. They are vulnerabilities hiding right in plain sight, living inside the exact websites you use every single day to shop, check your bank balance, and message your friends.
Take the undisputed king of web bugs, cross-site scripting, or XSS for short. When a web application fails to separate a user's input from legitimate executable code, it is essentially game over. An attacker can inject their own custom malicious scripts right into your browser, silently stealing your session cookies and completely hijacking your account, without you ever knowing it happened. Or look closely at the raw code right here. This is known as clickjacking. Notice that iframe? It's intentionally set to be entirely invisible. What the attacker does is craft a decoy, maybe a flashy button that says, "Win a free iPhone." But layered invisibly directly underneath your mouse cursor is a transfer funds button from your actual banking site. You click to claim the prize, but you actually spring the trap. And this is not just academic theory. Back in 2019, the massive live streaming app Periscope fell victim to exactly this. They were relying on an entirely obsolete protection mechanism. Attackers figured out they could frame the Periscope account settings page, set it to be invisible, and trick users into clicking what they thought was a totally harmless button. But in reality, those users were unknowingly deactivating their own accounts. The invisible trap sprung shut.
Sometimes, though, the most devastating hacks are just shockingly simple. Take insecure direct object references, known as IDOR. Imagine you're looking at your digital receipt, and the URL ends with receipt ID equals 2983. You backspace that, type 2984, hit enter, and suddenly, you are staring at a total stranger's private banking data. You just hacked a secure database by changing a single number. That sounds harmless until you look closer.
And that leads right into our next section. Chaining bugs for maximum impact. Because finding one tiny glitch, like an open redirect that just bounces you to a different link, is usually ignored. The security team marks it informative. It's just a low-severity nuisance. But true masters of bug bounty hunting don't just report glitches, they weaponize them. They chain them together, and that changes absolutely everything.
This is the strategic escalation that turns a $100 payout into a $10,000 payout. You find a low-severity bug, and you hold on to it. Then you find a second, seemingly minor vulnerability. You combine them. Suddenly, that ignored open redirect bug becomes the exact vehicle you use to bypass a server's internal defenses, leading to a devastating server-side request forgery. You literally just turned a water pistol into a bazooka. To force a company to actually pay out top dollar, you have to paint a picture of their absolute worst-case scenario. We are talking complete account takeovers, massive private data leaks, or the holy grail of hacking, remote code execution, where you are literally running your own malicious code directly on their production servers. You prove that, and they will write the check, no questions asked.
But let's take a step back and look at the human element here for a second. Fighting this invisible war, staring at screens of raw code for weeks on end trying to chain tiny digital breadcrumbs together, it takes a severe psychological toll on a person. Every single hacker, no matter how elite they are, eventually hits a wall.
Inside the community, it's known as the bug slump. It is the absolute psychological exhaustion of going days, sometimes weeks, or even months without finding a single valid vulnerability. It really is the dark night of the soul for a hacker. You start questioning your skills, your tools, and honestly, your sanity. Because remember, real hacking isn't a fast-paced adrenaline rush. It is deeply methodical, tedious, and incredibly frustrating.
So, how do you actually survive it? The best advice is incredibly practical. First, just step away from the keyboard. Go outside, see your friends, literally go get some ice cream. Your brain desperately needs a hard reset. Then, use that downtime to read write-ups from other hackers and learn totally fresh perspectives before you dive back into the matrix. Because ultimately, a true bug bounty hunter understands this core philosophy. You aren't just out there running automated scanners and hoping for a quick lottery ticket. You are creatively solving a highly complex, high-stakes puzzle. It is entirely about finding those weird behaviors, deeply understanding the business logic, and just pulling on the threads until the whole tapestry unravels.
Look, the internet is built by humans, which means the internet is inherently flawed. There are an infinite number of vulnerabilities hiding in plain sight right now, just waiting to be found. The map is right in front of you. The rules are clearly set, and those million-dollar bounties are literally sitting in the vault. The only question left is, are you ready to look at the web differently and find what's broken before the bad guys do?